Hello guys, do you feel safe with the modern Russia on the planet? I doubt, but today you can feel a little bit safer, and all because the Ukrainian armed forces have successfully neutralized a large convoy with which Russians tried to attack Ukraine in Zaporizhia region, and also another portion of the very important justice was served to another Russian missile brigade also responsible for the strike on Sumy and located far away deep inside the Russian Ria in Ivanov region. What makes this news even better is that the Ukrainian drones reached that base twice, yesterday and today, demonstrating that Russian military, Russian air defense can do nothing. So let's discuss how we keep implementing the only working peace plan to defeat and demilitarize Russia. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see Putin in The Hague or Putin in hell, subscribe, we will discuss that on the channel sometime very soon. Unfortunately, the number of dictators keep growing, but so is our determination to make this planet safer and to demilitarize evil objects. I wonder what Rubio will say watching these official videos from the Ukrainian front lines, where we clearly see that Russia, in a very large convoy, wanted to attack Zaporizhia. They had literally 40 different vehicles, 3 tanks, and almost 400 people trying to cross the red lines, and they did not succeed. The majority of them were neutralized, 29 vehicles and many more Russian soldiers sent directly to hell. I think we will cross that 1 million in May. So this is definitely a very clear demonstration that Russia is not prepared for any lasting peace, not saying even a ceasefire. And I wonder when is that moment when the world will finally accept that the modern White House stands on the side of Russia. Because how else can you explain that Donald Trump, with his great business mind, does not want to sell Patriot systems to Ukraine when we are prepared to pay $15 billion to save our civilians, because Patriots are not even attack weapons? There is no explanation to that. Let me know in the comments below if you have some, but personally I don't. And my main trust is in the Ukrainian armed forces. It is super important to remember that right now Russia receives the majority of these weapons from North Korea and according to the recent reports from China. Otherwise, this war would have ended maybe in 2022 or in 2023. Unfortunately, some of these authoritarian partners of Russia are way more decisive and definitely do not apply the escalation management approach. And we clearly see that Russia humiliates any efforts for the negotiations, starting with this escalation of attacks on the civilian infrastructure like Sumy, like Kryvyi Rih, like Kyiv, and this attack on the front lines in Zaporizhia region, which was successfully neutralized. But I have already told you that for me, the most important steps to achieve lasting peace in Ukraine, Europe, and the world is actually to defeat Russia, to demilitarize Russia, and then to deliver justice. It is super important. It is just like work on mistakes. We have seen that escalation management does not work. We have seen that appeasement does not work. Putin was given green light with this weak reaction to the annexation of Crimea, Donetsk, and Luhansk regions. And look at us now. Fortunately, Ukraine turned out to be way more resilient and strong than they expected, starting their 3-day blitzkrieg and now totally ruining Russian economy and being totally dependent on countries like North Korea and China. But with all these war criminals, and there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of Russian war criminals, it is super important to deliver them justice And we often deliver it directly back to Russia. And I was very excited to learn about this very good special military operation because it repeated twice. The Ukrainian drones visited Russian missile brigade responsible for the attack on Sumy twice. Subscribe to demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine and to see the defeat and demilitarization of Russia that has already started. So in Ivanovo region, there is a location of Russian 112 missile brigade, the second one that was also attacking Sumy on Sunday, on Palm Sunday, which is like super symbolic. And I cannot imagine like any Christians still have doubts about the traditional values of this godless Russia. And Ukrainian drones visited Ivanov region twice, and yesterday and today. And each time they successfully neutralized military objects, starting from the location of the crew and finishing with the arsenals of these Iskander missiles that are stored there. I keep repeating that the Russian population is totally unprepared for the conditions of war. As classical bullies, they are only ready to attack others, but they cannot defend themselves effectively. Because how will you explain that this actually happened twice, day after day? So they literally experienced one smoking episode yesterday and then a very similar one on the next day. Both super successful with loud detonations and lots of videos. There are literally videos filmed by the Russian soldiers who share what happened to the location of their missile brigade, how everything is burning, how unexpected that was. And actually, it's a magical feeling that they can listen to the air raid alert while watching their portraits of Putin hanging on the wall. I wish we could take away the word portraits. So it is also very important to understand where that Ivanovo region is located. And I was happy to learn it from the Ukrainian media that it is located further than Moscow from the Ukrainian side. So these brave, inexpensive Ukrainian drones managed to travel deep inside the Russian Federation, maybe even flying by this rotting heart of Russia, Moscow. And they reached that Ivanovo region. And they targeted the arsenal, they targeted the headquarters of that missile brigade. But I have heard a lot of Ukrainian YouTubers speaking about maybe that's a bigger plan. Maybe that's a part of the preparation for the Russian victory parade on the 9th of May, traditional Pobyedobesie. And who knows, they like fireworks for such big celebrations, and maybe Ukrainian drones can bring them some of these fireworks. I don't know. But we clearly see that Russian air defense is not able to protect their strategic military objects. Not for the first time, and what is more illustrative, not for the second time. So today, because of the Ukrainian resilience, this world has become a safer place. A couple more of the Russian military objects neutralized. 29 vehicles in a convoy that tried to attack Zaporizhia and failed, neutralized. And that is already good. And let's focus on that, not on those very narrow-minded, very tired, wannabe dictators. You know what I mean. Remember to subscribe to my new channel with a weekly civilian perspective on what is life in times of the big war. Also, join me on X, on Threads, on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Discord. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel. And check our merch shop. The link is in the description of this video, and there are lots of good items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. But most importantly, thank you for being friends of mine and friends of Ukraine. This means a lot, and together we are stronger. Slava Ukraini!